Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. Today's video, I'm doing what I've been watching over this last week. I got 3 films I really want to touch on that have been out, and and just kind of talk about what's gonna happen in the future with what I've been watching here. So stay tuned and see what that is here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Friday, kind of late afternoon, early evening period. Still a very cold day here in Kansas, still like negative temperatures and snow on the ground and all that. So definitely gonna be a white Christmas. It's fun to look at, not fun to go out in. But anyways, don't know if everybody else has snow as well as I do. Maybe not my friends in the Florida area or California. But definitely here in the Midwest, we're getting it pretty good. But anyways, doing, again, what I've been watching over the last week. I kind of started this, I don't know, towards the end of this year, in fact. I don't feel like I haven't been doing it that long, where I kind of came with this idea of, like, trying to cover stuff, because I'm watching a lot of movies and TV shows during the week. That's my, like, kind of my time at night. At night is kind of the time I usually watch all my stuff. Anyways, if I'm not working, and so I thought it'd be fun to give my 2 cents on some of the stuff that I've been watching, give recommendations out there, non-recommendations anyways. So I do that. I'm finding now, though, that like I try to do all my videos in 20 minutes because that's like the longest I can do and keep storage on my phone, because I feel like I can do 22, 23 minutes, but if I do much more than 20 minutes, then my phone will tell me I don't have enough space for the video. So I can't do very long videos this way. So anyways, that's why I try to keep everything 20 minutes. And so I find I'm running out of time talking about the stuff I want to talk about. And there's a lot of stuff I don't talk about because I just know I don't have time to talk about. So I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe next year being next month, January 2023, that I might have to make these like more of a live stream, maybe every 2 weeks or something like that, make like a live stream covering things I've been watching. So then live streams are capable of having more time to talk about the things and not having to rush everything anyways. But yeah, so that's an idea I'm having right now for the future. Maybe start doing something a little bit different there, because there's so many things I love to talk about. And sometimes if I go on a big rant, I can only cover 2 movies in a 20-minute span sometimes, but we'll see. Anyway, so I wanted to cover 3 movies to see if I have time to do that. One movie I wanted to cover last time, but didn't get around to it because of course, around Christmas time, there's one Christmas movie that I've been wanting to watch, but for some reason I've been putting it off. Finally, a week or so ago, I watched it mostly because we did a top 10 favorite Christmas movies on Mike's Did You See That channel, and with Mike and D Movie Man, and I kind of wanted to catch up on any movies I haven't gotten to yet, Christmas movies, just in case there's maybe one hidden gem in there. And boy, did I find a hidden gem. And this is a movie called Klaus, which is a Netflix animation movie that's been out since 2019. I think it came out on Netflix. And I remember it coming out because it was kind of an under-radar type movie that was nominated for Best Animation Movie for the Oscars, because I remember that being nominated, and so it was on my radar of like, oh, I need to watch this movie, though I'd never seen anything advertised about it or didn't really know anything about it, except for, of course, the name is Klaus, so you can probably guess it's about Santa Claus somehow. But it looked like all the images I've seen of it, it was like, okay, this looks like a different look at Santa Claus or something like that. Or anyway, so it was definitely something I've been like wanting to watch, but for some reason it's just one of those things where there's so many things I want to watch, and so Klaus has been on my watch list for several years. In fact, I've heard people say that this probably should have won. This had a chance of maybe winning the Oscar for Best Animation Movie, but it went up against a juggernaut movie, Toy Story 4, which I absolutely loved. It was one of my favorite movies of that year, so I kind of understand why Toy Story 4 won, but it's like any other year, I feel like Klaus should have won probably Best Animated Movie. Anyway, so I caught it, and man, I love this movie. I finally about a week ago, just watched it, and way better than I even expected. I thought, oh, maybe this would be kind of a nice movie. Who knows, could be a dud, you never know. But man, I was so surprised about how good this movie was, and it's an interesting movie about it kind of it's kind of the origin story of Santa Claus in a way, but I think it's supposed to be like in Norway or something. That's not like Norwegian, Scandinavian type area. And it kind of, the main character is really this guy. He's called the Postman. I forget his first name, but he's this guy that kind of your main character throughout it. And he kind of gets forced to, or he has to be a postman in this town that's like the most miserable town ever. All the people in the town are like fighting each other. Like there's big rivalries between the families, like Hatfield McCoys, and they hate each other. For generations, they've hated each other. And so there's a lot of hate in this town, and everybody, just nobody's happy. And he wants to get out of the town. He doesn't want to be in the town, but his father's like the boss, and his father's forcing him to work in this town, I guess, to, because he's not very good at his job, or he's kind of lazy. And so he comes in and he wants to get out, but the only way he can get out is by getting people to write letters and, having a lot of success as a postman there. But nobody writes letters because nobody likes each other. So he's got this problem. He's got to figure out how to get people to write letters. So he kind of comes up with this idea of getting kids to write letters to Santa Claus. So he makes up this Santa Claus character, kind of, I guess, in a way. Or not really Santa Claus character, but he makes up this idea of like, write letters to, and then you get toys. And so he actually kind of meets this guy who's Klaus, who we get Santa Claus from. And Klaus, though, in this movie is this more of this woodsman, kind of loner. He just kind of lives by himself in the woods, and he's a carpenter, and he makes toys out of wood. And so that's where they get the idea of like, okay, let's use your skill as a carpenter making toys, and let's have kids write letters, and we'll give them toys. And so that's kind of starting this origin of Santa Claus in a way. And Klaus is kind of at first is very doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't really socialize. Anyway, so it's kind of this interesting idea, story plot of them slowly becoming like friends, and he likes what's going on, and so he's coming out of his shell, the Klaus character. Anyway, so it's kind of a nice, actually really nice relationship that goes throughout. And there's other relationships that are really nice in the movie that kind of form. He even forms like a romantic relationship with the town teacher who doesn't like teaching, because doesn't teach at all actually, because the kids don't go to school. And so she finally gets kids to come to school. And then anyway, so there's a really nice story there. Anyways, and it's actually starts becoming this really heartwarming story. And then of course the townspeople that want to keep the grudges going are trying to ruin everything. But then the Klaus character has this very kind of sad backstory that we learn later in the movie, and it is just a really heartbreaking story that really brought tears to my eyes when I was watching it, and got me really emotionally involved in the story. Overall, the movie is very funny too. I mean, there's a lot of good visual gags in here, and I love the main character. He's voiced by Jason Schwartzman, I believe his name is. And he does a really great job, and it's a really fun character that's very fast-paced and very witty. And J.K. Simmons does the Klaus character as well, who's obviously a really good voice actor as well, a good actor. But I was talking to somebody about it, and they said it reminds me of Kuzco from Emperor's New Groove. And I thought the same thing when I was watching. I was like, this character kind of reminds me of that guy. He's very sarcastic, talks a lot, talks very fast. But very funny. And there's a lot of funny dialogue in the movie. But yeah, so it's a movie where it's like, man, it's really funny, which I enjoy. I really like the animation. It's a 2D animation, but they do something kind of really interesting with the shading of it. And I think I read something like they use some CGI in there somehow, mixed in with the 2D animation. It's very interesting the way they do it. And so the animation is really beautiful, and I really enjoy the animation. It's also just a very heartwarming story. The ending is so good. It left me in tears again. Like, it has this very kind of tearful ending that's kind of sad, but yet you're actually very happy and satisfied at the end. And it's good. All the characters, I don't know, it's a good ending for all the characters and for this town. And so it left me on a really good note at the end, and made me, just absolutely get emotionally involved in the movie. And just love this relationship that the characters develop. And so, yeah, it's just one of those movies that made me emotional, made me laugh. There's some great music in here. There's a song that's sung at this one point that's like an incredible song. I think it's called Invisible or something like that. And like there's this when they do and they do that and they're singing and they're doing the animation to it, and it's like, oh man, it's just so heartwarming kind of scene. So man, I absolutely love this movie. Couldn't recommend it more enough. I mean, I feel like saying to anybody, if you have Netflix, drop what you're doing and watch it right now. Like, if you've not seen this movie, you need to watch it like as soon as possible, because it's one of the greatest movie experiences I've really had. I mean, right now I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars, so it's I'm almost giving it a perfect score, which I don't know why I'm not giving it 5 out of 5. I think because I just only watched it once. I think if I watch it some more and I still get a lot of these great feelings, it could be a movie that I could reach up to like a perfect score of 5 out of 5. It's that good of a movie anyway. So yeah, definitely watch Klaus. Great Christmas movie and great movie overall. In fact, I put it down as my 3rd favorite Christmas movie after watching it just one time. It went over a lot of some other classics because I just thought it was so good. But yeah, so definitely watch Klaus. All right, I already spent about half my time on that movie, which I wanted to talk about. So I'll see if I can get to these other two. Another movie I want to talk about is The Fablemans, which came out, well, it's been out in theaters. Not any theaters near me, but I finally caught it on like video on demand, whatever. And yeah, this is one that I've been anticipating because it's one of the big kind of award-winning movies that's getting a lot of buzz for, Golden Globes nominations and Oscar buzz, and it's getting a lot of awards nominations, like I said. And it's Spielberg, and it's a movie about supposed to be like about his childhood, because the main kid wants to be a film director. And so, and from what I read, it seems like it does follow his story pretty closely. But anyway, so yeah, so it's kind of a drama. It's a drama about this family, the Fablemans, and one of the kids, the son, wants to eventually become a filmmaker, and then there's problems with the family. The parents aren't getting along. A lot of crisis situations going on, and they keep moving because the father gets jobs in different places. So they move to like Arizona, and then they move to California towards the end. And then he deals with like bullying and anti-Semitism. Anyway, so there's a lot going on in this movie. That's my biggest problem with the movie. And I thought it was it's 2.5 hours. It's way too long. I mean, I remember watching it, and at first I was like, okay, this movie's kind of cool. I like this whole idea of this kid falling in love with movies. I understand. I fell in love with movies when I was a kid. So it's like, okay, it's kind of cool seeing this kid, fall in love with movies back in the 50s, I guess. He was a kid in the 50s. And so it's like, okay, it's kind of cool seeing him. Then watching him like make movies, it's kind of cool. It's like, okay, a lot of film director as kids, made movies as kids. So this is nothing unusual, but obviously he was really talented at it and became, a really good director. If we're pretending that this kid is Spielberg, basically. But yeah, about an hour and a half into the movie, I was feeling kind of like, okay, I'm kind of done with this movie, and I'm like, I kind of want it to end. And then when I realized I still got an hour left of the movie, I was like, oh my gosh, another hour? Like, where else is this movie going to go? And the movie kind of changes during the course of the movie. Especially, like I said, the last maybe 45 minutes, hour, all of a sudden they're in California, and it's dealing with like anti-Semitism, which they never dealt with for the first part of the movie. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now we got bullies yelling anti-Semitic things and beating up on the main kid. And so we're dealing with all of that. And then also the parents are getting like divorced. And so we're dealing with all these things that, I don't know, it just kind of comes at the end, and it's like, okay, now the movie's changing on, like, so, I don't know, to me it was really, that last hour was really boring, and it just dragged big time. Like, I was watching this going, oh my gosh, this movie's just never going to end, It's like, it was, yeah, I just think they put too much into the movie. And it felt like it was like almost like a TV show that just, you just never had any stoppage. You just came to the next episode. It was like, all right, here's, I forget his name, like Sam Fableman or something like that. I think the kid's name is. And it's like, all right, here's Sam Fableman making, watching a movie and falling in love with movies. Here's him making a Western movie. Here's him making a World War II movie. Here's him and his family going on a camping trip. Here's the family falling apart, story. Here's him changing schools and dealing with bullying. And it just felt like another episode after episode because the plot kept changing to these different things, and so it didn't have this. I guess my problem with it, I felt like it didn't have one like central plot to me that like went throughout the whole movie, which it really needed to tie everything together. It had too many plot points. Like, it just needed one like really good plot to really carry the movie. And every time it was like, all right, now we're gonna introduce these new elements into it. It's like, okay, like here's an episode where the uncle, stops by for 10 minutes, and that felt like an episode on its own. So I don't know, I didn't like that. It just kept adding all these different things during the movie, and just I felt like, what is this movie about? Like, I never understood like what am I supposed to get away from this movie? It has all these things going on, and so I think it kind of ruined the movie. And overall, yeah, I thought it was a pretty terrible movie. Very disappointed with it. I like Spielberg; he's my favorite director, but like, man, he needed someone to help him with the script and help him with editing, and it could have maybe came out with something decent. Like I said, the first hour and a half I thought was like, okay, this is kind of okay movie, not terrible but not great, just kind of middle of the road movie, but at the end I'm like, I don't really care about this family, the Fablemans, I think, and I don't care about this boy and all the stuff he's going. I don't know, there's nothing interesting enough in there that made me care about anything, and the performances were okay. Paul Dano, really good, I think. I really like him as a father. Michelle Williams is usually pretty good. I just didn't really like the character playing the mom. And she did some weird things. There's some weird scenes in the movie where I'm like, I don't understand what the choices are here. Why are these characters doing this? And especially the mom is kind of unhinged at times. So I was like, this mom is like out of her mind. Like, she's doing some nutty things. Plus she's cheating on her husband. So I was like, I don't like this person at all. And there's some very unpleasant scenes, I would say, during the movie that I'm like, wow, like I didn't need this in my life, like bullying, divorce, it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's just not fun things to watch in a movie. And it's like, I don't know. I just kind of left away going, gosh, there's so many scenes I just did not enjoy at all. And it's like, more I think about the movie, the more I hate it. I'm still giving it like not a terrible review like I am here, but overall, like, I would say there are some good scenes in there. I guess I should say there are some scenes I was like, okay, that's a pretty good scene, or okay, Paul Dano gave a good performance in that scene, so I kind of enjoyed what happened there. So there's some good acting in there, like I said, and there's some interesting story points, but like I said, just too many storylines, and there's too many really unpleasant things that are happening in the movie that I'm like, I don't care for this at all. And it was just way too long. Like, I feel like they should have just stuck to one storyline. Like, let's just stick to the fact the kid wants to be a movie maker and like watch him like discover how to make movies. Like, that could have been interesting. And do about an hour and a half. I could have taken like an hour and a half of just, that storyline, and maybe like, there's a whole story of like, his dad's an engineer. He doesn't really understand artistic, things like making movies, while his mom likes to play piano and she likes to dance, so she understands art. So I was like, okay, there's an interesting idea there. There's two sides of the coin, someone who is more practical and someone's more artistic, and how do you take those two sides, and become a film director, which I can kind of see. A film director could be somebody who's like, oh, I'm interested in how you make a movie. That makes sense. Like, I like that. I like to watch special features, and I like seeing how you make a movie. So that's kind of the practical engineering side of like, oh, how do we make a movie? How does it physically work? And then there's the artistic side of like, how do we tell a fun story, a good story, interesting story, emotional story? That's the artistic side of it. So filmmaking does take those two things. So I think that could have made it like an interesting movie of like this kid learning the practical and artistic part and using both sides of his parents to realize how to become a good filmmaker. Like, that could have been interesting. And like, I can almost see like, could have been this movie where the dad like doesn't believe in him, is like, oh, stop, making movies and, get a job, you need to get a practical job, like an engineer, and there's a little bit of that in there, but I was like, if they could have just maybe talked about that more. And then at the end, just like, and he makes like 4 movies during the movie, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of tired of watching this kid making another movie. We get it. He's really good at making movies. So part of me is like, okay, make maybe one movie and have them show the movie at the very end. Like, have them show, hey, this is what I can do with movies. And then have the dad like watch it and go, wow, I was wrong, son. You're really good at making movies. I approve of you wanting to dream about being a movie maker, and go that route, And it could have been this great father-son moment, and it would have left me kind of emotionally satisfied, like, oh, that's a great moment. We have one good plot line, has a good arc to it, and, that could have been a good movie. But instead of this movie, it's like, it goes way too long. It's about all these different things, and it just left me unsatisfied at the end emotionally, and everything else anyway. So that's a long take on it, but I had to talk about it because I know everybody loves this movie, and it's going to get nominated for Best Picture of the Year. It's going to be a top 10 list, and I'm one to go, I just do not get why anybody likes this movie, but I understand, yeah, maybe you saw it differently than I did. And again, I'm out of time, so I'm only going to get to these two movies. I even forgot about the third movie. There's a third movie I was going to talk about, but I even forgot about what that was. That's why I need to do a live stream where I can do a longer and talk about more movies maybe, and I need to write them down. I don't even write them down anymore because I just only talk about a couple movies usually per live stream. But so I'll probably talk about more later on. I have to do another what I've been watching over the last month or something. Cover everything I haven't said yet anyways. But I plan on doing some top 10 lists of best movies of the year, worst movies of the year, best TV shows of the year, worst TV shows of the year. And so I got a lot of live streams kind of planned here, hopefully the next couple weeks. I'm going to be going to my parents next week, so I probably won't be doing a whole lot of videos. So of course Christmas Sunday. So I hope everybody has a really great Christmas, some time together with family, and all that. So thank you for watching this video and for liking it. Comment what do you think about these two movies, Klaus, the Fablemans. Have you seen them? Just thank all of the subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate all of you. I hope you have a good day.